Star Trek does The Hangover, and Dude, Where's My Car in Space? All that this week on Making It So. This is episode number 49. In this one, we're covering Strange New Worlds, Season 4, Episode 3, Human Best Friend. I'm your host, Craig. This week, I don't have a co-host. Steve had something come up with work and couldn't make it. Maddie also is busy, so hey, you've just got my face this week. Yeah, it is what it is. So first of all, a little bit of news. Now, it's a little bit unofficial, but Mike McMahon, the guy that came up with Lower Decks, he's teased that he had another 2 seasons worth of material in him for Lower Decks. But he's also then teased that he's got a movie idea that he would like to get made. So I would personally love to see that movie get made. That would be awesome. So, yeah, if any of the Paramount execs out there somehow listen to this, please get that Lower Decks movie made. That would be awesome. Yeah, we would really love that. Okay, as always, this is a full spoilers review. If you haven't seen the episode yet, please, pause this, go off and watch the episode and then come back. If you don't mind being spoiled though, come back and keep listening or watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, great. If you're listening to us on any of your podcast platforms, cool too. Okay, into the synopsis, hey? I will read this one off of a Paramount or Prime here in Australia. The Enterprise crew visits a shore leave planet that guarantees fun thanks to an inebriating atmosphere. When leave is cut short for a vital mission, a quarreling Scotty and Ortegas must race to find the shuttle they lost. This episode is written by Catherine Lin and directed by Yana Gorskaya. I butchered that name again, didn't I? When I first saw this episode, or first read about this episode or heard about this episode, I was like, oh no. This is the 3rd week in a row where we've sort of done some sort of massive movie reference, I guess. For episode 1, they did Jurassic Park. Episode 2 was Event Horizon. And this week, it seems we're doing The Hangover with a little bit of Dude, Where's My Car mixed in there. I'm still in 2 minds about this episode. But the episode opens with Ortegas or Erica's log, and she's steering the ship through some sort of asteroid field. And then we sort of skip into Scotty's log. But basically, these two, they're still fighting. So she pushes the ship harder than she really probably should. And Scotty then puts a whole bunch of alarms on her console and, basically tells her that she's pushing the ship too hard. But, Ortegas, she rips out the gaffer tape and she puts it over the warnings and alarms on her console. That takes us to the bar on the ship. So Pike and Una are discussing the crew and how they need a break because they've been pushing very hard, especially Alpha Shift the last few months. So then they watch an ad from Dendru. So Dendru is a bit of a resort planet, but apparently the atmosphere has an intoxicating effect to it. So basically, once you start breathing that atmosphere, you get a drunk feeling. So that planet is also a quote-unquote tech-free zone. Right. And in the advert, there is a crazy amount of fine print and super fine print at the end, trying to make it all legal. All right, but after this time away on the resort planet, they have the Redaxian peace talks. Chapel lets them all know that it'll be fine and that it's okay for them to go. And that they'll just feel inebriated, drunk, and it'll affect everybody differently. So Alpha Shift, along with Captain Pike, head down to the planet. So both Scotty and Uhura bought tricorders, and Erica lands the shuttle hard, and she does damage the shuttle slightly. We don't exactly see that damage though on the outside, but Scotty's definitely not happy with it, that's for sure. All right, so when they get there, they say that they're not feeling the effects of the planet yet, but Chapel tells them once the door opens, it should take about 10 seconds for them to start feeling the effects. Anyway, when they crack the hatch on the shuttle, all of a sudden it starts to go all colourful and they starting to feel drunk, and it's like they black out essentially. All right, the next part, we go to a room, and that room is an absolute mess. There's a tribble in this wrecked room, and Erica is in there, and she's wearing some sort of a Andorian, a headband with Andorian antennas with one part of it missing. So, which was interesting because we've seen Andorians before with missing parts of their antennas. She comes across in the room, there's like a Mugato, but we end up finding out that Mugatu is Scotty in a Mugatu suit. Now, that suit, if you've watched Star Trek Starfleet Academy, you probably would recognize it. Caleb definitely wore that in one of the episodes when he was acting as a mascot for one of the sporting teams at the Academy. Yeah, so that was definitely a reuse of that prop, or costume, I should say, more than prop. Yeah, Scotty, super, super drunk, almost trips into some broken glass that's sticking up in the room. Dendru comes and knocks on the door. He's played by Dave Foley. Dave Foley, you would definitely recognize him. He played a Ferengi. Well, you'd recognize his voice at least from Lower Decks. He played a Ferengi in a Lower Decks episode. He was also he's been in heaps of shows over the years. He appeared in Young Sheldon, which was relatively recently. Yeah, if you're my age, you would probably recognize him from a mid to late 90s TV show called News Radio. He played one of the main characters in that, called Dave Nelson. So, yeah. Anyway, he gives them a envelope with a paper message in it, because obviously there's no technology allowed on this planet. And they've got to take that message to Captain Pike. So this sort of sets them off on their little mission for the episode, to find Captain Pike and get this message and get off the planet. So Scotty, he's got a kind of cool shirt in this episode. So it'd be cool if they put that shirt up for sale in the Star Trek store online there. That'd be very funny. But Scotty, in his drunk state, he sees this like double-ended knife in the wall, and he thinks it's a good idea to try and take that. And Erica has to stop him. Mind you, Erica doesn't actually seem like she's being affected too much by the atmosphere on this planet at this stage. She must have been completely affected by it to be, to have missing hours. Anyway, this takes us to the opening titles of the episode, which sits at about the 9-ish minute mark. When we come back, it takes Erica and Scotty. They head to Spock's room to see if he knows where the captain is. But when they go in, Spock apologizes to them for the mess. Now, that room is pristine, but to Spock, he's got one piece on his 3D chessboard that he's got in there, which is slightly out of alignment, and that's what he calls mess, and he has to apologize for that. And Spock seems to be thinking that he's seeing James Kirk around the place, everywhere. So Spock also asks Erica if she fought a dragon, because he could hear her yelling about a dragon or something in the hall overnight. Yeah, so we see Kirk there. So, is this really Kirk, or is this just in Spock's mind? Interestingly, Kirk is in his full uniform still, and Kirk gives Spock a hug at that point. All right, so Spock doesn't know where the captain is, so next they head to Uhura's room. Uhura is absolutely baked. Like, the amount of, look, I'm just going to say it's probably marijuana smoke or something along those lines coming out of her room. It just seems to be the party room. She mentioned something about cookies again. So she seems to have something about cookies going on the last few weeks. But either way, she still doesn't know where Captain Pike is. So Erica and Scotty, they then head to the bar. Now, this is probably one of my absolute favorite parts of the episode. Una Chinrali, number one, she is in there singing Klingon karaoke. Every single one of these songs is an Earth song, which is in Klingon. Now, do the Klingons just really like Earth music and sing it themselves, or what? I don't know. But she was actually really, really, really good at it. I was very surprised. She can sing in Klingon, it seems. All right, Mbenga. Dr. Mbenga. He is being a barman. He's breaking everywhere, throwing bottles around and glasses and dropping drinks on the ground. It's actually not too bad, that one. But he makes some sort of a green drink for Scotty. Anyway, Captain Pike is not there, so then they keep looking for him, and they find him in a tattoo shop. He's getting a tattoo on his right arm of a horse and some other stuff. Apparently, Scotty has a tattoo as well. So, I don't know, have we ever heard that in Star Trek before? If we have, let us know in the comments down below. Anyway, the captain gets the note, and the Rhodaxian diplomats are coming in 2 hours. That's what they said in the note. So he sends Erica to get the shuttle with Scotty, but the shuttle isn't there. It's not where it's meant to be. It's not in the parking. So, yeah, where's this shuttle gone? And not only that, where's the key? Right, so the attendant says that she gave the key to Scotty. So it seems like Scotty's lost the key somehow. So Scotty comes up with the idea to use his tricorder to find the shuttle. But, he left his tricorder on the shuttle. So there goes that idea. So, but then they remember that Uhura has one. So they head back to her, but she won't lend it unless they apologize to each other. So Scotty and Erica, they apologize to each other. Yeah, it sort of turns into a bit of a buddy movie at this point. All right, and then Uhura gives them the tricorder. But Scotty, in his inebriated or drunken state, he goes to throw the tricorder to Erica for some stupid reason, and it ends up over a balcony and smashing on the ground. So they head back to Spock to see if they can use him to help hack the security system, to see if they can find the shuttle. So when they go back to Spock, he seems to think that everybody that he sees is a plant, which is a little bit strange. So what he sees Erica as a cactus, and yeah, it's a little bit weird. But then he finds a security terminal, but it's actually a plant, and he does a mind meld with a plant, which is very, very weird. Yeah, my mind to your leaves instead of my mind to your mind. It is a little bit amusing. So maybe I didn't hate this episode as much as I thought. I don't know. Anyway, the shuttle is just north in an area with thieves, and then which Spock then suggests that they go get La'an to go with them. All right, he also sees Kirk again, to which he then says to Kirk that he is his human best friend. So yeah, that's where the name of the episode comes from. Yeah, you'd think they would have named the episode something to do with what Scotty and Erica were up to. But hey, yeah, it is what it is. All right, so La'an is in a relaxation class. Seems to be some sort of yoga sort of thing, but she's turned it into a bit of a fight class. So anyway, they managed to convince her to come with them to, find the shuttle. And she goes and talks to the thieves in this area, and she takes out one of them, which happens to be their leader, and somehow she becomes their leader. There's definitely a thing with La'an here, with all the violence coming out with her in every single episode. All right, and she says that she needs Scotty's shirt, but Scotty doesn't want to give it to her because it's his favorite shirt. But yeah, she holds it up, and as the leader of this thief gang, it's like their trophy. Anyway, they find the shuttle damaged behind a billboard. Right, but the chip, or the key to get it going, is missing. They figure out that Erica has the key inside the cast that's on her arm. So anyway, at that point they get bagged and tagged by a couple of guys in masks, and we're like, what? Who are these guys? Is it anything to do with La'an? But it turns out it's not. So they wake up in a warehouse tied to a couple of chairs, and Scotty thinks that his eyeballs have been stolen because he can't see anything. But Erica quickly reminds him that they've got bags over their heads. We find out here that Scotty actually has 6 brothers, 4 of who are adopted as well. So this is where Scotty and Erica, they start to sort of unite together. This is where you sort of start to see that they're working together quite well. But then Dendru, the boss of the resort, comes in and cuts them loose. And apparently he had them kidnapped because they asked him to, in their inebriated state the night before. So, but Dendru's plan didn't work to help Scotty and Erica relax. So that's why he cut them loose. And then he tells them that they should probably go to room C, because there's another one of their crew members there. Room C. Christine Chapel. She's in there playing bingo. She's causing a few issues in there, that's for sure. La'an, yep, she pops in with her crew. All right, and then next we see is all the crew on the shuttle. Pike, at this stage, has a face tattoo. So, again, more Hangover references. All right, but once they're in the shuttle and they're back in a normal, like Earth normal atmosphere of the shuttle, they should be starting to feel normal again within the hour, but it doesn't seem to be working. So the effects of the planet don't seem to be leaving their system. Anyway, the delegation beams on board the Enterprise, and apparently apparently Pike asked for the talks to come forward for some reason. But, obviously he doesn't remember that. So Erica's trying to fix the shuttle with Scotty. This is where we learned that, this is where Erica and Scotty really start to open up to each other, really, and become, friends, really. So Erica lets Scotty know that when she joined Starfleet, she initially joined to become an engineer. So she's probably a little bit jealous of Scotty, but she failed impulse mechanics at the academy, which is when she became a pilot. And Scotty, he's actually a very terrible pilot, and he's crashed several shuttles. So he's a little bit jealous of her as well, I guess. So as they're going through and fixing the shuttle, Scotty finds a bomb inside the shuttle. And if he takes his hands off it, it'll explode. So at this point, Erica goes for help. All right, so Pike is giving his speech to the delegation, and he's got his hands sort of in front of him, and on his fingers, on the inside parts of his fingers, he's got his speech tattooed on there, which is quite interesting. So she tells Uhura what the message is that she needs to get to Captain Pike about the bomb. But it starts what we would call Chinese whispers type of thing. So Erica tells Uhura, and then Uhura tells the next person along until the message finally gets to the captain. But then Spock comes out into the hall where Erica is and tells her that he got a message about avocados. Well, that definitely wasn't the message. It was about a bomb on the shuttle. So when she runs back to the shuttle with Spock in tow, all right, Spock finds a recording chip on the ground. And that recording or video has Scotty and Erica in it at this point as well. So Spock is still seeing everybody as plants and plants all around the place. So he's still not even gotten. But they come up with a plan that Erica and Scotty will take the shuttle off the Enterprise, right? And then Spock will transport them off, like basically a nanosecond before the explosion, saving their lives. So before he actually does transport them off, though, we see Kirk come in, and yeah, Spock doesn't think he's real, but he slaps him because apparently Kirk was down on that resort planet on shore leave the whole time as well. So, you know, when we were seeing Kirk earlier, was that really him, or was that in his imagination or in Spock's imagination? I don't know. But apparently the peace talks aren't going well. So Scotty and Erica on the shuttle, though, you know, they're starting to become actually friends. And Scotty even says, well, yeah, maybe we are friends, or something along those lines anyway. Anyway, so they get beamed out, and boom, there is this massive, colorful explosion. It's like a big fireworks / powder, colorful explosion in space. Apparently, this explosion deeply honored the guests, as it's an old tradition in their culture, which is very, very cool. So we then skip back to Scotty and Erica on the transporter pad, and Scotty's thumb completely just hanging by a thread, just cut off, just hanging by a small little skin flap. Yeah, ouch. Yeah, with the whole Kirk and Spock thing on the planet. So Spock thought he was talking to a hallucination the whole time. But turns out he was actually talking to the real Kirk, and yeah, he told him everything. So yeah, this is one of those things where I guess it becomes the start of, you know, their lifelong friendship. So later on, it transitions back to the bar on the ship, and they are discussing what happened. But Mbenga is behind the bar again, and Pike asks if the doctor can remove that tattoo from his face. So yeah, they're sort of all, what's the word I'm looking for? They're all reminiscing about what actually happened down on the planet. So Erica visits engineering. Scotty, he's working on rerouting power through the intermix chamber to allow Erica to be able to push the ship a bit more. So, and she offers to help him. That takes us to the end of the episode, really. But instead of like normal with the end of these episodes, the credits start rolling, but we get, like the end of The Hangover, we get some video clips and, you know, photos and stuff of what happened down on the planet. So they really lent into this hangover thing. So it shows more of Una singing Klingon karaoke, Kirk and Spock playing paper, scissors, rock, Erica and Scotty having a massive pillow fight. Yeah, it got a little bit weird. So I really don't know how I felt about this episode. Like, there were parts of it I did like, parts of it I didn't like, but why are we leaning into this whole movie thing? Every week we seem to be doing some sort of a movie. Like, why? Yeah, I don't know. Like, we started the season off really strong with that first episode, but I don't know. It seems to be falling off the edge a bit. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, look, there was parts I liked, but yeah, there was parts I didn't. So next week's episode is called A Case of the... how do I say that? Case of the Chiaroscuro. As Una is mistaken for a resistance leader and drawn into the struggle against Klingon occupation. Oh, right. I've got no idea what that actually means. I haven't watched the trailer for the next week's episode yet. So... I don't know. What did you think? You can find me on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, or obviously on YouTube. You can find us on all your favorite podcasting platforms. So send us a DM. You find obviously myself at Geek and Camo, and that's where this is uploaded as well. It should also be uploaded on the Get Into Geek podcasting channels as well with those boys. So until next time, Hopefully I've got somebody else with me next time, because this is much more difficult to do this by yourself instead of actually having a discussion about it. Until next time, I'll catch you later. Bye.